All right. Good morning. Hello, friends. Hold on one second. All right. First live stream. For starters, I'm trying to figure this stuff out. Um, I don't see any chats, so I don't know where that would be at. No likes, no chats. Boop, 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 boop. Share it. Share screen. Mute. Edit. Well, all right. So I guess if someone shows up and sends a message, it'll pop up then. Because right now I don't see it. Yeah, not seeing it, not seeing it, not seeing it. All right, so I'm just going to hop into it. If you come in later and you want to check it out, go to the beginning, enjoy. Hopefully, this audio is coming through good using the old earbuds. See how that works. Um, doing computers right now, changing over to Linux away from Windows, and probably going to be going to one of my laptops once it's redone as my permanent streaming. Um, a lot of stuff going on over the holidays. Well, I haven't posted in a while, but I'm going to be doing this at least weekly till summer, and then summer I'm going to look at um, changing my schedule because it's mainly going to be on Fridays. I'll be going live. Um, And then as I can fit it out here and there, I'll be going back to my video series on Bible, which we're still in Genesis. Uh, so let's jump into it. A little bit of background. I definitely grew up in what I guess most people would consider fundamentalism, fundamental Christianity. Uh, and like I don't even know like how to define that. Like so many people have different definitions for what a fundamentalist is, ideas around fundamentalism. So it's hard for me to know, but I think from the outside looking in, most people would classify us, classify the churches I went to, my parents, as fundamentalists for sure. I think most would. Um, let's see. So my grandfather was a pastor in Assemblies of God. My uncle was a pastor in Assemblies of God. We went to church every time the doors were open when I was growing up. Mostly Assembly of God churches, but then we also went to some Pentecostal holiness churches. So, in addition to being what I guess people would consider fundamentalists, we were also, speakers and tongues and things like that. So, I think people would see that even in a worse light. Um, I didn't question anything. I was told things, and I believe what I was told. I was raised in the church my whole life. Went to revivals. Was told things, crazy things like, if it's in the Bible, it's true. And you can always count that the Bible's true. And if the Bible's not, if one thing in the Bible is not true, then the whole thing's not true. But if one thing in the Bible is true, then the whole thing's true. And of course, that's just ridiculous. Like that's that's not a standard anybody could hold for anything. If there's one mistake, the whole thing's wrong. And if there's one thing right, the whole thing's right. That's ridiculous. That's fallacious. Clearly, that's fallacious. That's just I don't even know what to say about that. Those are the types of things that were told to me, and I trusted the fact that the people in my family had grown up in the church their whole lives, had people in the family who'd been pastors and who'd you know been to seminary and learned this stuff. This is I trusted this stuff. I definitely trusted it. Um, so, and I went to public school when I was younger until about middle school, and we started going to Christian schools. Christian schools were a little bit different. They were Calvinism, which is a different form of Christian belief than what we had. And I, as a young child, was debating my teachers about Christianity as if I knew all about it. And all of my knowledge was based on what people have told me and the things I had read in the Bible, primarily the King James Bible. Definitely not the NIV. We knew that that was Satan's Bible. Maybe there were some other Bibles that were okay, but the modern King James V and the old school King James V were the best for sure. You wanted to be as close to King James uh, version as you could. Didn't know a whole lot about other versions, to be honest. We didn't even talk about that. We didn't talk about. My understanding was that there was just like a 3,000 year old um, Bible of the Old Testament out there that was just solid, that was in Hebrew, and everything in the Old Testament was translated from that. And there was like a almost 2,000 year old New Testament in Greek that was all together and translated from that. That would have been my best guess if you'd asked me. And I also would get into deep discussions with people within the church, adults, about the Bible. But I was fully within the Bible. Um, well, then we finally got online, and I would get online, and I would go on to chat rooms. Um, this is all late '80s, early '90s stuff, and I would debate strangers in chat rooms, Yahoo chat, find atheists, debate them. Um, I wasn't even in high school yet. I'm debating you. You know, don't know what I'm talking about. Don't even know what I don't know, and I'm debating. So keep in mind, I was always into geeky stuff too as a kid. So this was a little bit of a problem. I liked, first, I loved Ninja Turtles as a kid, and my mom said that that was satanic. So um, you guys would say that's probably definitely pointing her to be fundamentalist. We weren't allowed to watch the Smurfs. The Smurfs were satanic. Uh, the only way I could watch something that my mom didn't approve of is if my dad was watching it or someone else in the family, and like I might not be supposed to be in there, but I go in there anyways and watch it. Star Trek, Star Wars, love that stuff. Absolutely love that stuff. Had watched the cartoon Hobbit as a kid. Loved that. I don't even know how my mom let me watch that with the evil wizards, you know. But somehow that one slipped by her. That was okay. Um, just but a lot of stuff like that. She wasn't upset with GI Joe Transformers, but when I loved Ninja Turtles, I had to go talk to the pastor and let him tell me that ninjas were bad. But then later on, we'd be at a different church, and for the Christmas play, I got to dress up like a Ninja Turtle because there was toys coming to life. So obviously that changed. That changed. So there's definitely the satanic. I love comic books. I read a lot of comic books. You would see things like Dungeons and Dragons in the comic books. and it was always something that drew my attention because I liked that stuff. But I was told it was evil. I was told it was satanic. Read a lot of chick tracks. Had to hand out chick tracks because I like comics anyway. So they're like, oh, here's some chick tracks. If you don't know what chick tracks, you can look them up. You can look them. They're wild. They're ridiculous. In the back of them is almost always Catholics or idol worshippers and demonic. So that's nice. He had a track about Dungeons and Dragons being evil, um, and people killing themselves, and the Satanic Panic was going on. I like Native American stuff too. I had a cow skull. My grandmother told me that was evil because it was a skull. It wasn't even a real skull. It was plaster and painted, and no, that was evil. And these people were trustworthy to me. I thought, okay, um, I don't know, maybe. I listened for music. I listened to oldies. Couldn't listen to Metallica. That was satanic. Couldn't listen to all this stuff. Uh, yeah, I'll listen to Carmen and DC Talk, of course. I don't like that. I thought they were good. I thought they were good. Still think some of their music is really good. Very enjoyable. Regardless of what you think about the people themselves or what's happened since. Good, some good tunes for back in the day. And I started uh, getting to be aware of like Christian rock and stuff, and that was cool. So about high school, and I'm giving you my life story, but this is all relevant to my deconstruction and how my faith interacted, how I interact with my faith. So I definitely started finding issues when I got to high school because in high school I went back to a public school. The Christian school I went to was pretty far away. I wanted to go to public school for a lot of different reasons. One of the reasons being I wanted to go to junior ROTC because I wanted to be in the military when I got when I got out of high school. That was my plan. I was going to graduate and I was going to go into the military. So I wanted to go to public school because that would be the only way that I could go to that program. And I did. So in high school, initially, my friends were people who were in ROTC with me. And most of these guys weren't military type people. They were people who were more interested in not going to gym class. And they were a little bit geeky like me, so it kind of worked out. We had a lot in common. We watched a lot of wrestling, a lot of WWF, WCW stuff, NWO back in the day. Loved it, loved it. South Park came out, was brand new. Not really Christian appropriate, but my friends liked it, so I watched it. Thought it was hilarious. Started watching a lot more sci-fi and stuff, and was just embracing my geekness. Finally, in high school, I had some friends who played D&D and played Magic the Gathering. One of my buddies who played, he moved. Most of these people moved from out of state to the area. It was a pretty rural area. A lot of this stuff didn't exist in our area naturally at the time. But we're tobacco farmers, backwoods. There's nothing here, especially back then. And so I'd never heard of some of this stuff. Never seen Magic the Gathering before. But dude, I loved elves. I thought elves were great. And then there was elves and Magic the Gathering. I was like, dude, this is cool. This is cool. Gave me some cards. But I was worried it was magic. It's told as evil. So um, I really started questioning things because these people that were my friends who were engaging in this geek culture, they didn't seem like Satanists. They did not seem like they were trying to kill people. And I started doing my research. We had a computer finally, and I was getting online at home. And it turns out that Dungeons and Dragons was made by a Mormon and a Christian. And I got to learn more about it and understand that no, it's more Lord of the Rings adjacent. I had read Lord of the Rings and Chronicles of Narnia at this point. Um, my mom didn't even want me reading Chronicles of Narnia because it's Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. But someone explained it to her at the church, so it was okay. Because C.S. Lewis is okay at the church. So then I went as far as to email Richard Garfield about Magic the Gathering because I was struck by a card that was called the Leviathan, Segovian Leviathan, and it had a scripture quote from the book of Job. And I thought, okay, if this game is anti-Bible, is anti-God, why does it have a Bible verse on it? Why is it promoting the Bible? And he told me that it was just a game, of course, and that as far as he knew, it didn't have anything to do with real magic or Satanism. It was like a wizard's duel. Um, but that, if I had an issue with it, I should go talk to a pastor and get their opinion because they would have a better idea if it was against my religion, right? If it was something that I shouldn't be doing as a Christian. And I was like, whoa, why would this guy send me to a pastor? Why wouldn't he try to, talk me into it? I mean, he made the game, right? Why why is he not trying to brainwash me like Jack Chick said? Uh, and so I started saying, okay, where in the Bible does it say that these things are wrong, that this is evil? Where are we getting this stuff from? So really, I know it's weird to be talking about all this geeky stuff, but that's really what initially made me start questioning because I liked this stuff. I couldn't understand what was wrong with it. My friends liked it. My friends were decent people. They weren't Christians, but you know, I wanted them to be Christians, and I felt they would go to church with me sometimes. I'm like, hey, there's more to this than what I understand. And so one of the things I started with was the war in heaven and Satan, because that's a big thing. Everything was satanic, so it started looking up Satan and found out that Satan wasn't even a name. That Lucifer wasn't even a name. That's just made up. Um, they use it as a name, but in the text, it's not actually a name. That Satan's a title, more like a job description. You can have multiple Satans. A human can be a Satan because it just means an adversary. And it's really Hasatan, the Satan. And I'm like, I can't find this war in heaven. I can't find Satan being an archangel and being the in charge of the music of heaven. I can't find this anywhere in the Bible. And I've been told this stuff my whole life. I was like, man, where is this? And so I, at this point, I couldn't believe anything. I was like, why do I believe this? And the only answer I had was because my parents believe it. The only answer I had was um, that I've been told, right? And so I started looking up contradictions. I started looking up everything I could find, and there wasn't a lot. This was still the '90s when I was going through this. The term deconstruction didn't even exist at the time. That's not what people would call it. They wouldn't call it deconstruction. Um, I'm not even sure when that term came about, but so I was deconstructing before we knew about deconstructing, and I was ready. I was completely ready to give it all up. I would have been fine being an atheist at this point. So the question to me was, what do I do? What do I do? And I had to ask myself, and it hurt. I want to tell you guys, it hurt. If you truly deconstructed a deeply held belief, then you understand the pain. It was painful. It's like I can't trust what my family says. I can't trust what these people who I'm supposed to look to, I felt like they've been lying to me my whole life. And I don't think they were lying per se. I think they were ignorant. I think they believed what they were saying, but they had no basis for it. It wasn't factual. It was just, trust me, bro, right? And it hurt. It hurt so much. And the decision I came to is I wanted to know the truth. And whatever the truth was, I was okay with that. Um, if God didn't exist, fine. I won't believe in God. If God did exist, fine. I would believe in God. If the different religion was correct, fine. And this is where I think the modern deconstruction stuff is really different from what I experienced, and I don't really understand it. And I want to go into that before I go further because I'm very interested in people's deconstruction stories, and it means a lot to me, and I'm very sensitive to it. And I don't really judge people how it starts or where it ends up, their process, because I know the pain. I know the pain. But it seems like there's definitely this thing where okay, Christianity's not true, or the Bible's not true. Mainly, it's the Bible, right? The Bible is very problematic, and what the fundamentalists say about the Bible and what a lot of evangelicals say about the Bible is what makes the Bible problematic. It's not problematic in and of itself, I don't think. I think it's these ideas that surround it, the things we say about it, these ideas we have about it. It's like, what do we mean by infallibility? Oh, what do we even mean about the Bible, right? Like, if I pick up the King James Version of the Bible, is that infallible? Well, there's unicorns in it. I mean, so I don't think unicorns are real. Not the type of unicorns that we would understand. I mean, there's rhinoceros unicorns. Okay, um, but but when you look at other translations of the Bible, it's not being translated as a unicorn. Okay, uh, and clearly, and then of course you find out that the King James you have isn't even actually the original King James. So which one is the true one? Well, it's not the English because obviously there's different versions of the English. So what are you really saying, that the Hebrew and the Greek, that those are infallible, that those are without error, that those are you know well, which manuscript? Because there's a bunch of manuscripts, and the manuscripts don't all agree. So it's like, if you're going to talk about the infallibility of the Bible, if you're going to talk about uh, you know there's no error in it, you're going to have to explain that because it makes sense when you're on the outside looking in, and you just think, oh, there's this thing called the Bible. But once you understand how it's constructed and where it comes from, it doesn't make sense. But anyways, so that's what causes it. So a lot of people then go, okay, well, since this religion I've followed my whole life, and that everybody told me to follow, and now I have reason not to believe it because uh, what I've been told about the Bible is wrong. I am not even going to consider religion. All religion is fake. All religion is, and I just don't get that. I don't get how you go to that extreme. I can understand how you get there eventually. Yeah, you can get there eventually, but how do you start out there? You know, how do you start out there? It's like there are so many other options between Christianity and atheism, like stone cold hard atheism. I know God doesn't exist. I know the Bible's true and everything in it's true. There's a whole world in between there. And I'm like, So that wasn't my process, and I try to understand that. And I think you can't psychoanalyze people. You can't really know, but the sense I get in general is that the pain is so strong that people's are not reacting to it rationally. It's an emotional response. You get hurt and you don't want to be hurt again, and so you push it away. And you identify religion as part of what's hurting you, not specifically Christianity, not specifically the Bible, religion, I think, or God. I think a lot of people blame God for sure when they go through deconstruction. And so, oh, gods aren't going to hurt me again. I'm pushing it away. I'm pushing it away. No, nope. I'm throwing everything out. Um, and I saw like on Myth Vision, like the guy Derek who does that. I watched his story, a part of his story. I don't know if he fully fleshed it out, but he was talking about his deconstruction a little bit, and he said that he was ready to not even consider the possibility, and that a friend of his um, talked him down a little bit enough so that he could become agnostic. So I get it. I think it's the pain, it's the hurt, and it's your gut reaction. But I don't think it's the intellectual response. I don't think it's the rational response. And I think my issue with the Bible and what I was told is not that the religion has hurt me. It's irrationality has hurt me. Blind faith is what's responsible. No one was intentionally trying to, pull the wool over my eyes or hurt me. No, people they fell into this accidentally. They didn't know what they didn't know. That was the true enemy. That was the true enemy. So I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to come right back, get me a drink with the whistle, and then we'll keep going. All right, and I'll tell you um, like what my initial reaction was. All right.